your host. It's been a while. This is my first video here in about 4 weeks. Had to do finals, had to get that all kind of caught up, made sure everything was smooth sailing. There wasn't any hiccups there, but now that that's out of the way, I wanted to do a video here. I got something in the mail. I got props today. This is a bag of mushroom spawn, blue oyster mushroom spawn to be exact. And I have the kettle on, or the pot on right now, boiling. And today I'm gonna just kind of go through some steps of how to inoculate some coffee grounds that I have. It's a great way to reuse a resource that's very readily available in pretty much any community. You can pretty much find coffee grounds at a coffee shop and get fresh coffee grounds and not have to sterilize them. Mine are a few weeks old, so I will be running them through a strainer, and I'm gonna kind of show you a little wonky way to not lose all your grounds down the kitchen sink. But yeah, if you don't have any coffee filters, I'm not a big coffee drinker in this house, so I don't have any coffee filters laying around, so I didn't really feel like going out and buying them, so I'm just going to use napkins. And you kind of use that as a makeshift coffee filter in a strainer to not dump all the grounds out and get them sterilized. But we'll go through the steps here, and I'll show you what I'm going to be doing with it. How I'm going to be incubating the spawn and colonizing a batch and getting some mushrooms out of it. So, and hopefully we'll see some mushrooms at the end. Sometimes this can be hit and miss with these mushrooms episodes. My past episodes did not colonize well. I didn't get any mushrooms from them because they colonized and then something happened and they died off. So, or they went dormant. So growing mushrooms is very hit and miss. If you're doing log method, if you're doing straw, or if you're doing anything else, any sort of other type of method. So I just want to warn you that what I'm showing you is not going to be 100% working for you. It's always, there's these little variables that happen through a timeline, and something could have happened. Your moisture was too much, or there's too much warmth at that point and didn't want to fruit, or the mushroom died, or my phone's buzzing, or anything like that. A lot of variables could happen, a lot of things could happen, and it could not produce for you. I'm going to try to do it the way that I've seen a lot of other people do it, and kind of mirror their approach towards it, but also kind of throw my own little spin on it as well. So we'll get started. Try to make this a shorter video so it's not super long, but stay with me and keep tuned in, and thank you for watching. Alright, so this is the first thing I'm going to be doing. This is a 5-gallon bucket here from Lowe's. Doesn't have any sort of holes drilled in it. It's a little dirty, so it's just been sitting in my garage. So I'm just going to take my hand, and I filled this full of a bunch of soap. Merry Christmas, by the way. And I can feel the soap on the side, and I'm just going to wash the inside of this bucket really, really darn well. You don't want, and I might do it even twice, because I'm also going to be drilling some holes in this after, but I'm going to have to run underneath the sink. But you want to get this really, really clean, because when it's not clean, then you have the risk of contaminating your batch of mushrooms with some sort of other type of colonizing fungus. Could be mold, or what they basically make penicillin out of, or it could be some sort of other type of fungal spore that colonizes it, and you don't want that when you mistake another type of fungal spore for the mushroom you planted, and then it kills you. So that's why a lot of people get really stingy about their sanitization. A lot of people use alcohol or hydrogen peroxide. I might give this a nice spray of hydrogen peroxide before I use it and then rinse it out. So that's also a good way, but I'm going to soap it first, make sure I get all the dirt out of it. This is a lot like winemaking or any other form of making alcohol. We want everything really, really clean because that's a food product. Also, you want everything really, really clean because you want the microorganisms that you put into it in there. There's also the more natural side of things, where of winemaking, where you're not putting your stuff into it. It's just all natural. But okay, I'm gonna dump this in the sink. Boom. Give her a rinse. Put it down here. Give it a couple rinses, make sure it's all cleaned out, and that's pretty much all there is to it. With that step, you just want to make sure your bucket is very, very clean, folks. Alright, step 2. So once my bucket is now cleaned from the dirt, we are now, it's nice and shiny, we're now going to turn the bucket over on its side, and with a cordless drill, corded drill, and a 1/4 inch drill bit, we're going to put holes up and down this bucket here, and we're just going to drill a couple holes, maybe inch or so apart, all the way through it. Mushrooms like air exchange. We don't want too much air exchange because they do like the moisture, but you need to make sure there's air exchange with the substrate that you're going to put in here, so coffee grounds. In my case, sometimes it's straw. You could do this exact same thing with straw, and you could pack this bucket full of straw. But also, oyster mushrooms love to grow out of small holes and then come up and grow into a nice head and have this little stalk here at the bottom. So, and it also makes it easier for harvesting. So I'm gonna start down here at the bottom, and I'm going to drill a hole, and then drill a hole. Doesn't have to be perfect, folks. Mushrooms aren't going to be picky where they come out of, but you just need enough holes to provide air and area for a mushroom to come out of. You don't want to do too many close together. That's why you space them out. And if a mushroom comes up like right below another one, it's not really going to bother it. It's just going to grow around it. So that's not really an issue. You can do it this close. But if you prefer to have bigger heads, hi, yeah, yes, I love you too. If you prefer to have bigger heads, you can do it a little bit further apart, like that, or even further if you want. It's just you're gonna have less mushroom heads when it starts growing. It's really up to you. I'm gonna do holes all the way up. I'll just do a variation, and so we'll have a couple bigger holes or wider holes and a couple smaller ones. And that way you got a good variation. But you just do this whole thing like this with these holes, so that you have some areas for mushrooms to grow out of. And you just keep going through it and doing that entire thing like that. And then once you're done, it should look really nice all the way around. Nice holes in it. And then we'll go into the next step. Okay. Okay. So howdy, folks. I forgot to actually record the sterilization of your media and all that and putting it in. But I'm gonna come here and give you the final result. I'll show you the. This has actually been in here for a day after I inoculated it, and I've been keeping it moist, and it's in the grow tent, and I need to move it out here because we got fungus gnats in here and stuff. I'm trying to grab them and squish them, but you can see clearly that in a day it has actually, they've grown, and they've started to spread onto the paper in the coffee grounds, the coffee grounds themselves. But how I sanitize this, here, I'll close this up a bit so the flies don't get in there. But how I sanitize this was I put it in the oven around 200 degrees for 2 hours and 30 minutes, and then you're good to go. You pull it out, you throw it in the bucket, and you let it just cool down overnight, and put it in a plastic bag or something overnight, like a trash bag like I did here. And then the next day, open up the trash bag and then crumble up your spawn, and you put it in there. and then you're good to go. Just leave it, set it in an area where it's 60 to 80 degrees. It's depending on what mushrooms you're growing, but oyster mushrooms like 60 to 80. So you leave it 60 to 80 degrees, and for pretty much its entire fruiting life. And right now it's in the colonization state. It's going to be colonizing that entire mass of coffee grounds in there. Once it's colonized, then it'll start fruiting, probably in about 4 weeks. So those holes in the sides, mushrooms will come out of the holes in the sides that I drilled, and also they'll probably end up coming up on the top as well. But oyster mushrooms favor going kind of like growing up like a tree. So usually they're usually found on sides of trees. So you'll see them, kind of protruding from a little tiny point on the tree, very, very small, and then coming out to this nice big head of mushrooms, it's very cool, and it's an interesting thing to see them growing. So that'll be fun. Hopefully, it's looking promising right now. I need to move them out of here because I don't want them getting infected with with the fungus gnats, because I've had a problem with them. I've put perlite on here to keep them down a bit so they can't get into the soil as much, but they persist. They've gotten better since I've opened this area up. I just keep the doors open now because the humidity kind of kept them around and gave them food, give them more fungus to grow. But yeah, put your mushrooms in a trash bag like this. Leave the top open, kind of sealed up, like cold, with a small hole in the top, like that. And it'll just kind of keep the moisture in, but it also gives it some air to breathe. And what that does is the mushrooms need air to actually develop. So that's why they're companions with plants, because plants produce oxygen, which is what the mushrooms need to fruit and grow. And the mushrooms will produce CO2, which then feeds the plants. So it's a whole symbiotic relationship. So them being in here is also going to boost the CO2 in here a bit, which is nice. But I unfortunately, I'm probably going to have to bring them out because I don't want the fungus gnats infecting them. And then, of course, having a fungus gnat breeding house inside of here more than it already is. So anyway, guys, that's my little update tutorial kind of thing. All my plants are doing well. This is not the lemon that was in here. This is my bigger lemon. I moved it in here. The other one went outside because the weather's been pretty nice. So this one needed a little TLC, so I've been kind of babying it. Orange is doing good. Yes, we do have a sprout, and the dragon fruit cuttings did root. The other one's over here, right down there, and it did root. It is looking pretty good. There is some sap coming out of it though, which is weird. Out of the little sprout. That's odd. Well, I'll have to look into what that is. I don't know if that's it's being attacked by something, or if it's just a kind of a response. Some of them do. This one doesn't have any on it, but we'll see, I guess. Vanilla orchid, its root mass was I think I mentioned before, was destroyed because of root rot, and I doctored it up, and it has recovered. It now has a really nice root mass. So that whole thing is looking better. It's still a little pale, but still a little pale, kind of green, but it's greening up a bit. The more I water it, and the more roots it has. It's put a lot of energy into its root system, or growing its roots right now. So it's kind of looking a little sickly, but it'll recover and it'll be fine. And then this guy, which had spider mites, I've sprayed it multiple times with neem oil, and it knocked him down a substantial amount. There are, I think, still a little bit or some around, but they're pretty much dying out. I keep hitting it with neem oil every once in a while, so everything's going pretty good. Done with finals. Just kind of been sitting around doing stuff, hanging out with family and friends for the holidays. It's a very busy time. Like, I didn't have time to finish the rest of filming this, unfortunately, because of parties and stuff I had to go to that day, and it was just kind of in a rush. But I would have liked to. But I'll bring you the end result of how I did this, and I'll bring you in if we actually happen to get some mushrooms. That would be great. Like I said, growing mushrooms is a hit and miss thing. Sometimes you hit the right point. Sometimes you get great bounty mushrooms. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. They don't get colonized. Whatever happens, and they're just you have to start over. So can't get discouraged. It's just like growing plants. You can't get discouraged when growing them. If you give up too fast, you might miss out on great success later. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I will give you another update here probably after the holidays, because of course it's really busy. But thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again next time. Please like, comment, subscribe. See you later, guys. Bye.